travel agencies, and it's been changing a lot, especially in the last 5 years. Can we go ahead and go to the first slide? Okay, people, move the slide. Okay, so in the U.S., we've had a real problem with image, especially up to about 5 years ago. There was a lot of people who felt like travel agencies were dying in the United States. And this picture is just kind of symbolic of it. Here's a travel agency retail shop that's for rent. And part of what happened was, as you guys know, 9/11 pretty much shut down travel in the United States for months. And we had a lot of small agencies not make it. You had to, some of these agencies didn't have people travel for 3 months. You had to have a lot of money to keep your agency running when none of your clients were traveling. And so what happened to those is a lot of the small agencies did shut down, or they moved home base, because at that point, with the internet and computers and technology, they no longer needed to pay for a storefront. They could save that money for rent and move forward. But and some of them retired. We had quite a few of our members at that time who were in their 60s chose to retire because they couldn't survive the hit that 9/11 took. So that kind of gave this image that travel agencies were going away, even though even right after 9/11, well, right before 9/11, there were 120,000 travel agencies, well, travel agents selling travel in the United States. And after 9/11, there was about 90,000. So 9/11 really did take a big hit on the number of agents that were selling travel. There were a lot of the agencies survived, but they had to, lay off some of their workers to keep going. So that image kind of tarnished American travel agents for a long time. People really felt like they had gone away, even though they hadn't. Can we go to the next slide? So the market reality was that even when we were getting this press that travel agencies were going away, American travel agents were selling more than 50% of all travel in the United States. And especially air, cruise, and tour, over 60% is being sold by travel agencies. So even when we had that media view that travel agencies were going away, and really they hadn't, what they had done was change their business model to deal with the realities of what was going on in the marketplace. You'll see that U.S. travel agencies right now are selling over $146 billion of sales. They're selling, like I said, a lot of the air, the cruise, the tour comes through travel agencies. Hotels, right now, we can only track a small amount of hotel sales by agency, so we only have 24%, but we actually think it's probably closer to 40 to 45%. Part of the problem with hotel registrations is they come in so many different ways that the hotels themselves have a hard time tracking all of their sales that are coming from travel agencies. So we're kind of making an estimate on that. And same thing with car rental. Car rental kind of comes in so many different ways that it's really hard to track how much the agents are doing there. But you kind of assume if the agents are doing that much air and tour and cruise, that they're doing a lot of the other stuff as well, more than we're able to track. Next slide. So part of what happened was we had this whole media image problem. And for a while, we started seeing articles asking if travel agencies had died or gone away. And this is while we are doing almost $150 billion in sales a year. And then we started to get articles saying travel agencies were coming back. Okay, next slide. And now we're getting a lot of articles talking about the fact that some of the biggest users of travel agencies in the United States are actually millennials, which are 18 to 35-year-olds, and affluent travelers, travelers who have a lot of money, who want to do more luxury travel. So we're actually having this new growth, and this is important growth for us. It's really important to get these young people into using travel agents, as right now our other largest group of users are matures who are over 65. And so it's good news for U.S. agencies that we're bringing these young people in. Can I get the next slide? And one of the things we did last year, and we're actually doing a second study this year, is we did some consumer research, and we basically surveyed U.S. travelers. So those are people who have a household income over 50,000, who had done at least one commercial trip in the past year. So these are true travelers. These are people who not just drove and stayed with friends or whatever, that they actually did an actual trip, a leisure or business trip. And so what we found out is those people who use travel agents were happier with their trips. They felt the trips were better, especially compared to trips that they had taken without a travel agent. And we found out like 18% of US travelers had used a travel agent in the past year. And this was up from 12% just 2 years ago. So travel agent usage is going way up in the United States. And so that's good news for us. And I think it also reflects the fact that we were able to turn around our image in the media and make sure that people knew that travel agencies were out there, that we were selling a lot of travel. And I think it also helps for us that the millennials are a group that we found that want to do exotic travel. They want to get on the ground and do something really local. They want local cuisine. They want to meet local people. But then the other thing they say they want is very safe travel and very convenient travel. So that's really a great place for travel agencies because we can make it safe, we can make it convenient by working with partners like you guys in Mexico. And then you can give them the really local, unique experience that they're looking for. So it's a nice combination for us. So we had 28% of millennials say they plan to use a travel agent, and that's higher than all the other the other three generations that we've looked at, which are the Gen Xers, which are like 35 to 50, the baby boomers, that 50 to 67, count on how you count it, and the matures, which are the older people. So our consumer studies are actually showing that travel agent usage is growing. We are actually in the middle of doing a new study right now, and that's showing that growth of is happening with travel agent usage. So next slide, and then one more. Okay, so part of what I was asked to talk about is how these agencies have changed. So we know we had these catastrophic changes with 9/11, stop and travel for a while in the United States. Then we had the internet come online. And at the same time, we had airline commissions dropped, where a lot of agencies, even though they did sell all types of travel, they were very dependent on those airline commissions. So in 1931, when ASTA started, we were the American Steamship Ticketing Association. So basically, our members started by ticketing steamships, and eventually they ticketed airline, and then they started selling other kinds of travel. So it was a really easy industry to understand back there because all the agencies did pretty much the same thing. They did ticketing. But now we have a lot of different agency types out there. We have our travel management companies who do all corporate travel. And then we have our retail travel offices that do mostly leisure, but some of them also do corporate travel. We have our online travel agents like Expedia. And then we have our independent agents, and they're the ones who are really very, very new. Back when 9/11 happened, you didn't have a lot of single standalone agents. You had a lot of small agencies, mid-size and large. And now what we really have is we've had a lot of consolidation. So we have a lot of big agencies, and we have a lot of small guys, and we have a lot more of these independent agents, which are just single person agency. Can I get next slide? And this is kind of showing you some of what's going on here. So we've had consolidation. That blue line is large agencies that have employees. And as you can see, the number of those has come down to about 9,000. And it's not that those positions disappeared, it's that they consolidated and merged to try to bring their costs down. So what we have is a smaller number of actual agencies who have more employees than they used to in the past. The average number of employees has gone up. And then that red line signifies those people who are single person company who have been incorporated. So this is data that our Census Bureau tracks, and the United States Census Bureau is the organization who tracks business data on our companies. And so you can kind of see they took a little drop, but then they started to grow. And part of what's happened there is we have a lot of new people that have come into the industry because they can come in with low cost. They don't have to have a storefront. They just need to understand the internet, understand how to book travel. They can have a mobile business, really, out of their home, out of wherever they are. Most of our members, no matter, we recently had a meeting in Morocco because some of our members wanted to learn about Morocco. Most of them were working the entire time they were there whenever they had the time. Booking travel, dealing with travel problems with their customers. Next slide. So even though we had that big dip. We had that high of 120,000 agents out there selling in 2000, and it did drop down. And it probably got as low as in the 60,000s. But now, so we only have 64,000 employees that work for agencies. That has gone down. But along with that, we now have about 40,000 of these independent agents, these people who have a single person business. Most of them aren't incorporated, because so they're not even tracked by the Census Bureau. We have to do surveys to find out who they are. But there are new people that come into the industry. They love travel. They come into it because they love travel and customer service and things like that. They're making money, but they're not making great amounts of money, but they're doing it more for the love of travel, which in the end, they'll probably end up making more money that way anyway, because they'll keep those clients. Okay, next slide. And then one more. So I want to tell you a little bit about our domestic members. As you can see from this chart, the green line is the number of people who have retail storefronts. That means they have like a store in a shopping center that you can just walk into. And you can see that line has come down. The red line is those who work what we call home based, but it really is just a virtual business. They may or may not be in their home. They may be anywhere. And as you can see in 2014, for the first time, that line crossed. So now we have more home-based agencies than we do retail storefronts. The purple line is those who work out of an office, and they're not really a walk-in, they're more appointment-based. Those guys tend to be corporate agencies or selling business travel only. And then we have that other, that blue on the bottom, and if you can see, that's kind of going up now. And what's interesting about the other, when you ask the other who they are, they either have a mix where they have some home base and they still have a retail storefront, or they have an office in their home base. But half of those guys said that they don't consider themselves home based, they don't consider themselves retail, they consider themselves mobile. That they have a laptop and a phone and their business is wherever they are. So it's at Starbucks or it's while they're on a trip, and they can, and so we're seeing the number of people saying they're mobile going up. So I think that for us in the United States at least, location doesn't seem to mean anything to travel agencies anymore. They're going to do whatever works for them. Okay, next slide. So this is just a breakout of what it looks like, our three major groups in our membership in the United States: the independent agents, the single agency, the corporate agency, and the retail travel agency. So you can kind of see what you expect. The guys who sell corporate, the big chunk of their business is air, and another big chunk is hotel. The independent agents sell a lot of cruise and tour. The retail also sell a lot of tour and cruise, but they sell a little bit more air. The independent agents, not that they don't sell air, most of the time what they do is they sell a package that includes air in it, so they're not booking the air themselves. They tend to want to stay away from air. I don't know if you're aware, in the United States we use ARC, which is different than IATA that's used outside the US. And a lot of them no longer want to pay to be part of ARC because it costs money, and then if you make a mistake, you get debited by the airline for a mistake, and often the mistake is some rule the airline has just changed and never bothered to tell anyone. So a lot of the independent agents have kind of stepped out of air because they don't want to deal with all the issues. Next slide. So I know this is a big chart, and I meant to mention this before. I will have my email address on the last slide. And also you can give me your business card. Anyone who wants these slides, I'm happy to send you the entire set because it is a lot of data. So don't worry if you can't read this, I'll send you the slides. But this is just talking about the fact that we used to have a lot of general agencies. They just did general leisure travel, but that's not true anymore for a lot. Over 70% of our agencies consider themselves to be specialists of some sort. Cruise, all-inclusive, luxury, or a destination, a specific destination. Next slide. Anyway, so this is just looking at the ones who said that destination was their niche, that their main thing that they did. We asked them what was that destination that they were a specialist in, and you can see it is Hawaii, Europe, and Mexico are the big ones that were mentioned. But there were actually 53 different destinations mentioned as a place they specialized in. So we had people who specialized in the island of Fiji. We had someone who specializes in only the region of Tuscany of Italy. So there are some of these guys who really specialize. And that's the thing that's really powerful about the internet. Even though online travel sales really affected travel agencies in the United States, they are now using it to grow their business. And most of our members are growing now. And so they can be a specialist in just Hawaii because their customers can come from all over the United States. Some of them have customers all over the world because having the internet and social media and being mobile like that has allowed them to have customers from everywhere. And a lot of, and once they have a solid base of customers, they get lots of referrals. So the internet has really invigorated a lot of our travel agency members and allowed them to really have this specialist market. Next slide. And as you can see, we are being more and more international. Our agencies used to sell more domestic travel than international. Now they sell more international. This is what's important to our growth of our business is international. Next slide. And but you can see here, this is showing that it is the retail leisure and the independent agents who are pretty much all leisure that are really pushing the international. Our business travel corporate guys are still mostly domestic travel. Next slide. And what I'm looking at here is just to tell you that our members are also big travelers themselves. They, on average, and last year went to 5 countries, and over a lifetime, they've gone to more than 50 countries. And what we found now is that our members want to go to places and they want to look at the suppliers face to face. They want to feel like they have a relationship before they send you clients, because they want to make sure that referrals is like a big part of their business. Most of our members say that 87% of their business come from referrals. Their clients are the ones bringing their new customers in. And so they really want to make sure that they know what they're doing. So we came to Merida last year because we wanted to show our members a different part of Mexico that they hadn't been to. And that was a really interesting city because we had members who said they had clients they never would have sent to Mexico. They only thought of Cancun, and these members, their clients were not the kind of people who wanted to go to a resort, who are now sending people to Merida because it was such a different kind of place to go to, more of a European style. So that's part of what we do at ASTA. We try to bring our members into new places so that they can build their business with new locations. Next slide. And this chart is really big. You don't have to read it. Basically, we asked them what were the hottest things that they were booking for the summer. And if you look at all the things that are in red, those are all places in Mexico. So I just want you to know that you are top of mind when we ask them where are they booking. And as you can see, there's a lot of places here. Even 5 years ago when we asked them that, we only got about 25 answers back once we compiled all the answers. Now we're getting more and more because the travel world has really expanded. But despite that, what's happened with Mexico is you've also expanded. There's more locations that our members say are hot in Mexico than there used to be. You know, it used to be that you just see like Cancun and maybe 1 or 2 others, but you're seeing more and more places that they say are really important to their business. Next slide. And then our expectations, this is just showing what they expect their profits to be every year. And for 2015, they are expecting business to go up. They're expecting to see more travelers, to get more people traveling. Next slide, and then go again. And I just want to show you a couple of slides about our international members. ASTA has members in over 100 countries. So our primary membership base is in the United States, but we have a lot of travel agencies and tour operators around the world. We have very big chapters in countries like the United Kingdom, India, Kenya. Some of the countries we have chapters in don't have their own trade association, so our chapter is kind of their trade association. And they're most of them say that they do a mix of business and leisure. Most are either consider themselves tour operators or travel agents, and a lot of them consider themselves to be both. Next slide. And they also specialize in things as well. So group tours, business travel, cultural heritage travel. So they're also looking for new places to send their clients, someplace that's got different kinds of cultures, something local that they're looking for. So next slide, and one go again. And I'm just going to do a few slides about travel trends because we look at this all the time to see what's going on in the world market. So this just shows that right now, China is the market that has the most expenditures in tourism. They're sending the most people out. They bypassed the US just 2 years ago. We held on for a very long time, considering that they have a much bigger country than us, but they finally did bypass us. But the United States is still number 2 in the world for travelers. We're out there spending the most, the second most amount of money on travel, and it's expanding. We have this millennial generation are hard travelers. They want to travel more. So I think that's part of the reason that travel agents in the US are seeing business surge, because we have this new generation that wants to travel. Next slide. And this just shows you that Mexico is still the top market for our travelers. That's where they're going. And Canada is below, it's the second, it's green, but you guys are way up there. And actually the last time that we had numbers for, it was starting to go up a little bit. These numbers are tracked by the government, so they're always like a year or two behind, because governments are always a year or two behind. But anyway, but you do see right now we were tracking higher. Next slide. And this is just looking at, you guys are the second largest source of visitors to the United States. So our markets are really tied together. We're coming and spending money in your country, and they're coming and bringing money to our country. We are going back and forth, and Canada's in there too. So it's like, this is a very important market to us. Next slide. And I just wanted to talk about, we have a lot of events coming up. Next one. And next slide. We have an Ask the Global Convention 2015. It's at the end of August. And the first whole day of it is actually going to what we're calling a global travel exchange. We're bringing in members from all over the world. And we're going to try to have all of our US members there and try to build a lot of relationships. So again, we just found out that a lot of our members, they feel like face-to-face contact, shaking someone's hand is the #1 way that they find their new suppliers. That, you can sometimes build a relationship over the email and the phone, but it's really important to them that they know where they're sending their clients. Next slide. And that just shows that we have a 5-day event basically, and just lots of things are going on. Next slide. And the green is everything that we have set up for global travel agents, specific events to help try to, like I said, we're going to try to do some real exchanges, a lot of face-to-face type of meetings. And we're also doing some special events in DC as well for international travel agencies and tour operators, and that they'll get to go visit embassies and do a tour of the Capitol. So might as well take advantage of being in DC. Next slide. And then there's my email address. If you would like a copy of these slides, I'm happy to email them to you. We also have research available on ASTA.org. If you do ASTA.org/research, halfway down the page is a bunch of reports that we make available to the public for anyone who wants to understand our industry better. And there's also on SlideShare, which is a site where you can share presentations. I have some interesting presentations up on SlideShare. So those are 2 additional sources for more information. But if you would like a copy of these slides, just send me an email. I'll probably get them out over the next couple days. And that is all for me.
Muchas, nombre de nuestro presidente, el licenciado Jorge Hernández, que por otros compromisos no pudo estar aquí. Queremos agradecerle a Melissa Taste, quien es la directora de investigación de la American Society of Travel Agency. Tu presentación ya lo ofreció ella, las cifras, pero sin embargo le vamos a pedir que nos las deje para que se suban a la página de AMAF Nacional y puedan descargarlas de ahí también. Melissa, in the name of our president, I just want to give you this recognition. Pásenla acá, por favor. Bueno, a los miembros que están con nosotros del Congreso, les recordamos que los autobuses 19:30 del Hotel Princess